Jeremy works for Christian Vision for Men. Now, CVM is a movement of men across the UK and indeed across the world, and they exist to serve the local church to engage with men. So back in March, I think it was, I had the privilege of meeting with some of the CVM team and talking about the huge need that we have with over 80,000 adults being released from prison each year, the majority of those being men. We desperately need more male mentors to rise up and support those men coming out of prison. And so CVM said, well, we've got groups of guys who want stuff to do. And we said, well, great, we've got things to do. So Jeremy is CVM's marketing and communications director. He used to work for New Wine as their marketing manager there. And he is married to Sarah and has 2 kids. So Jeremy, would you like to tell us a little bit about CVM, what you do, and with so many people being released from prison each year, what tips do you have for churches engaging with some of those men perhaps who are being released and who are perhaps less churched than others?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, excuse me. My name is, you can probably see, Jeremy Geake, sadly, that's my surname. And that's spelled Geake, again, as you can probably see. I'm assured it's Cornish. I'm also assured it's very stupid as well. And my poor kids aren't particularly pleased that that's our surname. But anyway, my wife must have either loved me or been very desperate. Mind you, her surname was Crook, so it was probably... she probably felt like a change, as opposed to an upgrade. The Christian Vision for Men, we're the stand just over there, the stand that says CVM Scotland on it, though we're not specific to Scotland. I was in Scotland 2 weeks ago, and I was wondering, why have I got this England banner? And here I am in London, I've got the Scotland banner. It's I blame the marketing communications manager for that one. But for those who don't know, Christian Vision for Men is all about engaging, as the name suggests, with men, of introducing men to Jesus. That's kind of like the bottom line. There are statistics that say, according to current trends, by the year 2028, there will be virtually no men left in the church. Now, I happen to believe that even if we did nothing, that probably won't be the case, but the trend is that men are leaving the church. I mean, you come to a church like this and you probably wouldn't think so, but across the country and probably across certain parts of the Western world, that is the case. And so CVM is certainly looking to try and address that. And one of the ways we do that, one of the main ways we do that is through men's groups. There are men's groups out there that meet, Christian men's groups, and doing different things. Some, it may be something that it's like a building up of their own Christian walk, and some are very evangelistic, and all of that is good. And what we want to do is encourage people to do those, to start those men's groups up, and where they already have started is to hook them up with CVM, because we want to know what's going on out there. We want the men's groups to interact with one another. And we want to also resource. The leader of the organisation, some of you will have heard a gentleman by the name of Carl Beach, and he's a speaker and a writer, and him, in collaboration with some others, have come up with quite a few resources, and we're always, never enough resources, but we're always trying to develop some new ones, of which are over there. Don't worry, I'm not trying to sell them, because we can't sell them, but we have some if you want to peruse them over there. And in order for, specifically for guys, and so we try and help those who are Christians. And we also try and encourage them to reach out to their guys, their mates, and bring them into the kingdom, which is a difficult thing to do for guys. And it genuinely is. Because men don't connect with other men as well as women connect with other women, which is a fact. Some guys are sort of There you go. See, case in point. I'll leave. Thank you. No, some guys are an exception to the rule, but on the whole, people walk into a room, a man and a woman walk into a room, and on the whole, women say, who can I connect with? And men will think, what's the quickest way out of here? But they do, and I speak as somebody who I hate small talk, and making connections with, particularly with men I don't know very well, I find that really hard, because men don't communicate like that. I was in at my brother's house on the weekend, and it was a party, and there was a couple of other guys in there who I kind of know, but the conversation would always be on a superficial level. But the football was on, and Everton were playing Spurs, and one guy was an Everton fan, and so he was watching it, and the other two of us weren't. I was obviously supporting Everton because they were playing Spurs, and hopefully they would have beaten Spurs. But sadly, it was a draw. But the thing is, we were chatting, and we were chatting superficial stuff. And my wife always says, did you talk about life? Do you talk about, no, we're just talking about football. We're just talking about movies. And the thing is, it may sound trivial, but it's kind of like what we encourage people to start off doing fun stuff, silly stuff. Men's groups to meet together and create an environment where other guys feel comfortable in. Because men talk like this, side to side, watching something, doing something, they talk. They don't sit opposite each other. Well, some do, but like I said, the majority of guys, particularly if you're building a relationship, don't want to do that. They want to communicate on a superficial, but they want to be where they are comfortable, where they feel comfortable. And a lot of churches, they don't feel comfortable. And probably church I go to is one of those as well. I certainly don't think that we're kind of ahead in any particular kind of way. But surveys say that there was a survey carried out by Sorted magazine. I don't know if you've heard of Sorted magazine. It's a very good entry level, if you like, for guys who are exploring Christianity, trying to learn about that. And one of their surveys said 50% more guys feel more comfortable in a women's lingerie shop than they do in a church. Well, read of that what you will, but I mean, the church often, not all churches, but the church often is a place where the people don't, men don't feel comfortable. So we're trying to introduce men to Jesus, but our second part of our strapline is introducing the church to men and helping resource churches and men's groups and so on in connecting with men. I didn't go on to you.
That's quite all right. So you've got a load of resources that you sort of touched on there to equip churches in reaching out to men. But I know that you're also, as well as partnering with Caring for Ex-Offenders, you're also partnering with a number of other organisations nationally and internationally. What is your vision behind CVM partnering with those other organisations? Why does CVM want to do that?
I guess CVM wants to make sure. We've had organisations approach us and say, look, the majority of the people that volunteer for this stuff are women. One of the reasons probably being because there are more women in church, but another reason is because they are probably that bit more spontaneous and men will probably kind of sit and think and count the cost and do I want to do it? Do I have the time? Because they do, and I do anyway. Maybe it's just me I'm talking about here. But they do, and so we want to work with them to say, look, we've got about 1,000 men's groups, and we'd love to have more who are sort of signed up with us. And that just means we know about what's going on with you, and they know about what's going on around the country. For us to say, look, there's this project out in this country, and they need men to lift, build, and dig. Can you go out there? Because they think that they're actually saying we need guys to do this, no, there's very few men sponsoring children. So we will say, well, okay, we'll put it out to the people on our database to try and get some more guys involved. And I guess that's the vision for working with CFEO. In that, you know it. I mean, I'm kind of quite new. This is kind of my first thing learning about prison ministry and ex-offenders. So a lot of you are way ahead of me on this. But clearly, as the phrase has already been used, meeting people at the gates. But also I did hear that about getting to know them beforehand, the gentleman talking about it, and I thought how true that is. But using that phrase of meeting at the gates, a lot of them will have, as we know, a social circle which is totally contrary to if they have committed their life to Christ, or if they want to make that change, whether they're Christians or not, a social circle that takes them in a completely different direction. So what we would love is, for our men's groups that we currently have, at part of their thinking of all they do is one of the boxes they tick is at least consider, is there any way we can be involved in helping ex-offenders? And also any groups that are not yet part of us. As soon as a group starts up, we want to hear about it. We want more groups, men's groups doing stuff, and one of those things being, how can we possibly help this particular kind of ministry?
Thank you so much, Jeremy.